Hi, I'm Tom. I talk about code. Welcome to another Rust+Bevy GameDev live stream. There's been quite a few changes off camera, right? I kind of took some time where I wasn't streaming, and instead I was just working on the game. And now I'm gonna go back to working on the game on stream, because it's more fun. There's a couple of little things to fix up today. I guess the first most important thing I should do is probably to just show where the game is. So let's do that. Let's not waste too much time. I've done a few things, right? So for one thing, I can now go into full screen, which is really cool. Let's have a look in the tutorial map because there's a bit less going on. So yeah, I made the character sprite bigger. It was like 24 by 16 before, and now I think the character sprite is 30 something. I can't remember how tall it is, but it's like 1.5 times the area or 2 times the area or something, right? And I think this is just a little better. I was looking at Mega Man X, which is my biggest, the Mega Man X series, which is my biggest inspiration, and I realized that X and Zero are just much larger than my character sprite was. So I made my lad bigger, and I think it's pretty good. It's still very temporary program art. If you look too carefully at this pose, you might recognize the hand position. Well, this leg is like, it's like a Mega Man X leg, right? There's no two ways about that. But anyway, I'm happy with this size. It looks pretty good. So I'm just going to rerun the game and we'll go back into full screen. I should really make this the default, but I'm not quite there yet. So I drew this ugly tile set. There's a lot of work to do with this stuff in general. Also, this map was made with a smaller character in mind, but you're going to see that the game is looking a little bit nicer. There's some particle effects now. The enemies look a little better. We've got these guys who, rather than just relentlessly hounding you, they actually kind of stop and rotate. When things take damage, there's a little particle effect, which I think is nice. When things blow up, there's a little particle effect that I think just makes the game feel a bit more charming. And the idea is that, you've kind of got an objective. You've got this bar at the bottom of the screen. You've got to fill it up, and I'm going to die here. Yeah. But that's cool, right? Like, it feels... Oh, well, I don't know if anyone's keen eye caught that, but explosions do kind of persist through loading screens, which isn't right. There's definitely issues here to fix. This map kind of sucks now that the character is bigger, right? It's just not fun to move around in anymore. I liked this a lot when the character was smaller, but I gotta rethink this. But yeah, the idea is that you're gonna be in these small arenas, you'll have little challenges you have to do, and then you move on to the next arena. Awesome. So that's the game in its current state. That's where we are. Now, let me actually run it again, because issue number 1 on my list today, if we go back into this tutorial room, if I stand here and I jump and I dash to the right, you go quite a way, okay? Now, one more thing quickly. I've changed the dash a little. Previously, you had to double tap to dash, and now I've added a dash button. You can't tell the difference between this unless I hold my keyboard, like, right up and, like, I don't know if that... I think that sound picks up. Right, I'm double tapping a direction key. That kind of sucks. So I've added a dedicated dash button where you just press shift and you dash. Now what you'll notice is if I stand here and dash to the left, I go this far, and if I try and dash back to the right, you'll notice that I don't go as far. Oh, sorry, I got my left and right backward. If I dash to the right, I go this far, and then, actually, yeah, let's do it from up here. This is better. If I dash to the left, I go like half the distance for some reason, and I don't know why that is. So we're gonna try and work this out. That's priority number 1 today. Then I just want to clean up a few things. I'm gonna remove all of the double tap code. I think it's actually bad. I think, I really think that this press button to dash just feels a lot more natural and will be better for the game overall. Excellent. So, let's do that. Let's go into our player behavior and let's find the code responsible for setting the dash speed. So if we're dashing this frame, if we've pressed the dash button, if we're not on the ground, if we haven't air dashed this jump, we set our X velocity to either -1.1 or +1.1. We make a vector, we normalize it, we set it to a fixed speed, which I should probably make a constant somewhere. The player dash timer. So this looks good, right? So I don't understand. The dash is being set correctly. The velocity appears to be being set correctly. So that's good news, I guess. I do really want to get rid of this code, right? Now, interestingly, the speed is set correctly here. Like when you double tap dash, you seem to get the correct speed. So I don't completely understand. Has dashed is true, jump impulse is 0. Okay, so if we're dashing, set our velocity to the velocity of the dash, apply gravity if appropriate. If the direction we're moving in, if the sign of the direction we're moving in is not the same. Okay. So basically, let me show this as well. Because this dash is very committal, right? Because you press this dash button and you're like, whoa, like you're going a long way when you press this button. And you can't cancel out of a dash, right? Once you're dashing, you are committed to a dash. So I added this thing where you can't cancel the dash. Oh, sorry, that was a bad example. But if you hold the opposite direction, I guess you do kind of cancel out of it, right? I can tweak these numbers a little. Let's make this maybe, let's set it back to 1. No, sorry, let's set it back to 2, right? But basically this is a multiplier that increases how quickly your dash ticks down. Dinkelman, welcome. Welcome, thank you. Yeah, this is a good comment. I'm going to highlight this in a second. But this idea that, you know, if we hold the opposite direction, we want to cancel the dash a little bit sooner. A little bit sooner. Actually, quite a bit sooner, right? It's basically half the distance in this case. And I've been tweaking these numbers, especially around wall jumps, because I want to be able to cancel out of wall jumps so that you can, you know, climb the actual walls. So 4.5 is pretty extreme, but I think this is a good... I also cancel out of a dash sooner if you're hitting your head, right? So if we come up here and you wall jump, it's kind of hard to see. You gain like a little bit of height on these wall jumps, but your dash, your wall jump, it gets cancelled because you hit your head. It doesn't completely stop. You can corner clip a little, but basically your dash is going to expire 5 times faster than if you were just dashing normally while you're hitting your head, which is cool. Now, why do we dash less far to the left? Well, we check the sign of your wish direction. Except when you're not moving, your wish direction is 0. What's the sign of 0? The sign of 0 is... Actually, what is the sign of 0? What is signum? We need to check this before I make a bold claim. Because the sign... there are 2 ways you can do this, right? Either 0... Because 0 does have a sign in IEEE floats. Yeah, okay. Signum of positive 0 is 1, and signum of negative 0 is negative 1. If you've never done, if you've never run into this weird edge case of IEEE floats, welcome. But basically 0 has a sign, and we're checking to see if we're trying to move in the opposite direction to a dashing. But, well, as it turns out, that because 0 has a positive sign, and 0 is our default value for when we're not trying to move, as long as we're not facing to the right, we're always applying this branch. And we can actually see that in the logs, right? Like, I actually log when I'm trying to cancel the dash faster. So if I just face left and dash, it says canceling dash faster. And I should have noticed this and twigged on, but I didn't. Okay, so excellent. I'm going to get rid of this line because I think it has overstayed its welcome. So what we want to say is p wish dir x is not equal to 0 and this and that. So it's not equal to 0 and the directions are different and we have some minimum threshold. You can't just completely cancel the dash immediately. You've got to wait a certain amount of time. Okay, so now if we dash to the left, that's nice. That feels really good. Oh, that feels really, really good. I love that. Okay, that makes me happy. Now, one thing as well, you can't actually change direction while you're dashing. Like, you're locked in. And again, this is hard to show without seeing my keyboard inputs, right? But when I dash to the left, I can't just turn around immediately and face to the right. I kind of can. It doesn't really enforce that delay for long. I guess it's more obvious for wall jumps, where you press the button, you're holding left the whole time, but you only turn around after a certain point. And you can only dash in the direction you're currently facing. So I could change this so that you dash in the direction of your kind of wish dir, the direction you want to move in. Because the idea of being able to wall jump then dash in the opposite direction immediately is kind of fun. I guess, you know, you could very quickly climb up onto a platform like this, for example. You wouldn't have that awkward wait where you have to turn around. I don't know. That's a thought. That's a thought I keep having. Also, this door is now too low for this character to use. The collision point is somewhere just to the right, which is kind of silly. Okay, so we fixed dashing. I think it's time... Well, I can check that off of my list, for one thing. Let's do that. Let's check something off. Fix left dash speed. Hell yeah. Let's get a nice meaty red. Beautiful. Okay, polished movement. This is kind of what I mean by polished movement, right? So yeah, this idea that maybe... I don't think these numbers are right, for one thing, but this idea that maybe we should be able to dash in the direction we're trying to move instead of just always dashing in the direction we're facing. I think that would be good. I think that might be good. Okay. This this whole function is a bit of a mess. But anyway. Because yeah, okay. Let's try dashing when we dash. When we press the dash button, instead of getting dx by the direction we're facing, let's say. So let dx. So let's say let dx equals if p.wish dear x. So if we are trying to move in a direction, that will take priority. And then this will be like the else branch. We'll say else. Otherwise, if we're facing to the left, it's something. And then our final fallback is just 1.1. And let's even maybe just call this dear x, and it'll either be +1 or -1. So if we're trying to move in a direction, then we want to return p.wish dear x.signum, right? The sign of the direction we're trying to move in. So let me actually pull this chat message over, because I did really enjoy this chat message and I forgot to acknowledge it really. Why doesn't it work? It doesn't work. Why? It works now. Why is it in italic? It really feels like that. It really feels like that sometimes. One of my good friends, Dinkerman, you're famous. You're famous. This is how it all starts. Okay, so now we just multiply the speed we want by the actual like sign part, which is good. This is better. So yeah, let's see. I mean, this should work, right? We should be able to now dash in the direction we're pressing. It's not called dx anymore. It's called dirx, because it's no longer the actual delta x. It's a direction. And Rust loves me to put this decimal place in. Beautiful. Okay. First time every time. That's how it goes. So now if I wall jump, I should be able to immediately dash back in towards the wall, which feels a lot more natural. So I can do this. And you clear these little obstacles. You can wall jump so soon. You can dash back in, immediately as soon as you've wall jumped. And you can do this as like an infinite series, right? So you can climb very, very quickly. And actually, maybe you don't need to be able to climb, because you can climb with a wall jump. It's just only slow. Maybe you don't even need to be able to climb in at all if you can do this sequence of 3 button presses. But yeah, so that feels really cool. And that just feels a lot more snappy. It feels a lot more like Mega Man. I don't want to say, I'm definitely not trying to just copy Mega Man, but it feels a lot more, it's that kind of snappiness, right? That's really what has inspired me to go down this journey. I'm actually, I did a stream maybe 3 years ago where I re-implemented a server for a dead online 2D pixel side-scroller, and that's the game I've really copied most from here. But I've come to learn that game has copied a lot from Mega Man, the Mega Man X series, especially the PlayStation 1 games. Man, Mega Man X4, there's a lot of similarities, but it's cool. I'm hoping I can have my own identity as well, and I think I do. Mega Man X inspired sprite aside, I'm gonna redraw this guy. This is not final art by any means. Okay, so that's good. That literally just works. Let's just what's the diff here? I should have committed those in 2 separate parts, but anyway. Source, player, add dash button, and fix left cancel sign dash in wish dear. Cool. I mean, that's pretty concise, right? I know exactly what this commit does. And, so now maybe... Okay, well, the best way to see how this feels is to try shooting some guys, right? This is what always makes the biggest difference. But literally just being able to dash in the direction you've wall jumped, that is so much just a little bit of polish already, makes a big difference. It's also amazing how much the little damage sparks matter. Like, especially as a player getting hit by something, it just feels a lot better when you're sparking. I also need to do something to stop these enemies. Well, I need to stop coins falling through the earth. That is a bit of a problem. Okay. Perfect. I'm gonna have health persist between stages. That's gonna happen at some point. But for now, you can just kind of like cheese your way through. And the idea is that there's going to be a lot of, you know, these stages are going to be like pseudo RNG, I guess. They're going to be randomly generated aspects. And it's going to be a lot of short stages. It's going to be like rapid fire. I'm thinking like WarioWare, but Mega Man. I also need to make this whole like enemy spawning thing nicer. At the moment, they're just a bit relentless. I wanna have some kind of system that spawns enemies in waves. But yeah, this dash already just feels a lot more responsive, a lot more snappy, just a lot more intuitive. Okay, before I die, I'm gonna quit. The only winning move is not to play. Okay, that's good, that's good. Alright, let's get rid of all this double tap stuff. Last year equals none. Cool, that's good. Movement action, wish dear, this is good. Reload timer, action cooldown. This is all fine. Action left. Action left, action right. That's all these do. We're gonna keep these as actions, because you just never know. But we're not gonna... Character grounded, that's good. Then we need to go back into our not behavior. We need to go back into just our normal player mod. And we'll keep this. We'll keep this, but not much. Okay, what happens if I make B? There we go. No warnings. We just can't double tap anymore. It's hard to demonstrate that I've removed something like double tapping to dash, but you gotta take my word for it. Remove tap dash, done. And polish movement, we've done a little, but I'll leave that there. Another thing I would really like to tackle, because this is going to be a shorter stream. Another thing I would like to tackle would be to start looking at key bindings. I actually don't know. Now that I've started tweaking this a bit, I'm not sure. I should also probably see if there's any clippy stuff that's coming up. And there isn't. Of course there isn't. Remove source, player, remove double, tap, dash. What changed in character? What did I format? Oh yeah, I wrote this new collision system as well, because if you were wider than one tile, you could like, it only checked the corners, so you could go through a tile, so I had to write this new stuff, and I guess my line was too long. Reformat collision width changes. Okay, I should probably rebase that in. Double tap dash is evil. Always appreciate the extra keybind. Yeah, it was confusing people. I don't know why I thought it was a good idea, honestly. Like, having a dedicated dash button, it feels better 100% of the time. It feels more polished. It feels more firm. Okay. So the next big thing, I guess maybe I should think about this input system, and because there is an input manager called Bevy input manager. It's like Leafwing or something, right? Leafwing input manager. Input manager system for Bevy. This is going to be riveting doc reading. Various sources, keyboard, mouse, gamepad. Because I don't have gamepad support yet, and I really want it. I want to be able to test this game out with a gamepad because I think it'll just feel better. Action state on your player entity, which can be used in your game logic. So you just do like a query. That sounds interesting. Map between inputs and actions are made into many, easily configured. Blah 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 blah. I guess maybe I just try this out and see what happens. Bind arbitrary button inputs to virtual D-pads. This is cool. This is cool. UI buttons to game state. Excellent. Yeah. Yeah, look, maybe this is good. Again, okay, do I actually need this, right? Should I just try and build something first? Because, let's just see if we can hack something out kind of quickly. Okay, and if it sucks, then we'll do something better. Source input.rs. Okay, so we're gonna have a resource. And I think that's all we need. Debug. We're gonna have a struct called right? We're going to have two structs. We're going to have two structs. At the same time, you end up dodging off the cliff. Yeah, I'd had that happen a few times, especially when I started using other keyboards. Like, my mechanical keyboard's pretty crispy, and then when I tried to use a membrane, it was like, whoa. Like, sometimes they just double register a press because they're mushy shit keys. Yeah, so it's just different. So, And I guess what I'm gonna write here is gonna be very similar to what would be there, right? But we'll have like an enum called maybe a game action, and this will be something like left, right, up, down, jump, fire. What else? What else? Jump, fire, dash. And we will brutally oh, maybe not even, right? Confirm, right? Return. So things for like menu navigation. But ideally we'll have one button that will fire and confirm, right? These will be like one thing. So then for the actual interface, we want impl keyboard input. And I'm literally just going to duplicate this. I'm going to copy paste this and have a gamepad input as well. And I think that's good. I think that's good. So keyboard input, it's going to be, we're going to have a couple of functions. We'll have pressed. And then do we want to actually test a game action, right? Like was... right? Does this kind of API make sense? So, or maybe even held, right? Held. Like we're holding the button down, we've just pressed the button, we've just released the button. And we're not gonna have like access support. and I think that's okay. I don't think this is a game that wants, like, it's a digital game. There's no analog inputs. We don't need access support. We don't need access support. Okay. So, what does this struct look like? This struct is it a hash map? Maybe it's a hash map. Input map. Maybe it's a hash map from... Maybe it's a hash map from a game action to a vec of key codes? I think they're key codes, right? Yeah, key code. And the idea is that for held, if we check if something's held, we also need to pass in whatever the resource is. Yeah. Bevy will have support. I guess what I'm saying is, like, the API I'm exposing to my game won't be, you know, there will be no analog inputs, right? We're just going to ignore them. It's the kind of decision where if I decide I want to support it later, it would be harder to do retroactively. Like, I'd have to fit it into here somehow, but I don't know. It should be fine. I don't think this is a very digital game. It's very PS1 or like Super Nintendo kind of vibe. What's the resource called? Player res button input key code. We gotta pass this bad boy in as well, except we're not gonna pass it in as a res, we're gonna pass it in just as a borrow, and it's gonna be called key input. Cool. So we're gonna go, oh, and we need self too. If self input map get a, we probably want to maybe map inside this option, so it'll be a codes, a vec of key codes for C in codes, and if any of them it's true for, if key input pressed C return true. Cool. Oh, hold on, but this is inside of a if this is bound to a key, then for each code, there we go. That's the better way to do it. You can't return from inside of a closure like that. Cool, and we're gonna still return true here, I guess, because we're inside a for loop. Otherwise false. Otherwise, if the key isn't bound, false. Okay. And then we're gonna copy paste this. For just pressed. And maybe there's a smarter way to do this, right? Maybe I could write some clever code. And we're also gonna have just released. Cool. And then we just need to actually pass in this thing that we've borrowed. So this means that any system that wants to check this needs to... any system that wants to check this has to depend on this button input resource, but that's okay. I think that's totally fine. I have no problem with this. Where... I think am I... That's fine, that's good. That's the correct indentation. Okay, now... Yeah, and I'm looking at this, right? And I'm like, okay, maybe this does actually generalize, right? Maybe this does, because button input... Okay, so I think this does actually need to be like a input binding T. Can I have a generic resource? Hold on. Rust+Bevy generic resource. Generic systems. Okay, yeah, so this should be okay. I think this is fine. Let's say input binding, and it's going to be a vec of T. And then this is going to also be a T. And that is perfect. That's perfect. Okay, so then we're going to have pub super fn plugin, which is going to take a mutable reference to an app. It's going to say app.insert resource, I think. Insert resource. Insert resource. We're going to have input binding key code. Binding, and then whatever the gamepad equivalent is. Gamepad input gamepad button. Yeah, see, this is an old version. If we jump to the present day, this is now called button input instead of just button. So gamepad button. Default. I'm not sure if I can implement default with a generic like this, but I guess vec has a default. Vec, this is fine. Vec, it doesn't matter what the vec is of, you always have a default implementation. So I guess this is fine. This seems sensible. Okay, but now game action needs to have a default. And no, wait, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. This is okay. However, we should derive debug partial EQ, and I guess EQ as well, because it doesn't depend on anything else. Cool. Oh, and then this also needs a reflect. I think reflect res. And then how do I have to say, I'm not sure about registering a type, right? Register type. Can I do input binding key code? Let's find out. Let's just build it and find out. Use Bevy prelude everything and Bevy eGUI inspector prelude. I think that's what it's called. Don't even use it here anymore, mate. Where are all my mods? Mod input, and then plugins. I have too many plugins. I had to split them out to a second tuple. Okay, and we're gonna do this in here because we want our quick fix list, because this is gonna yell at us a lot. Oh. That's really easy. I forgot Turbofish. I hate Turbofish, but I forgot Turbofish. That's not the right name. Oh, that's annoying. It's inspector eGUI, not eGUI inspector. Okay, can't find type hash map in the scope. That's because we have to use std collections hash map. Yep, that also makes sense. Input binding. Okay, T. Yes, that's right. The impl has a generic. I can never remember the syntax for this in Rust, but I get there in the end. Expected value found self. That's because I forgot these all depend on self. They're all methods, not just plain functions. And the trait bound marker copy. Required by a bound, button input T is copy. Okay. EQ. T copy EQ. Why is this required? Sorry? Excuse me, Bevy? What is going on? What is going on? Sorry, I'm keeping an eye on my phone because I'm expecting a call, unfortunately. But, Okay, cool. Required by this bound in button input. Consider restricting type parameter. Okay, I mean, I guess I can do this, right? Let's see what happens when I do this. I guess there's some restriction that I have not fully appreciated here. T, which is a copy. EQ is not satisfied. Okay, so maybe let's just do this then. Let's make sure. Whoa, boy. Button input. Okay, that's better. Hash is not a trait. Use std hash. Oh, does this requirement come because it's? I don't know. I'm confused. Default is not implemented for T. So T has to have a default. So this also then just gets default. It's weird. I wouldn't have thought T needed a default instance for this. Okay, I think this is getting better. Derive default. But if T has to implement default, okay, key code doesn't. Okay, so let's get rid of default here. Default is a bad word. We don't want, and I guess that does make sense, right? So now, but this does impl default. Which is going to give back a self T. We're going to have a self T input map hash map new. Okay, here we go. Operators can't be chained. That doesn't need to be pub. Maybe self doesn't need the generic parameter. We'll find out in a second. Fine. Impl T default. Okay, from reflect is nothing for game action. From reflect. We're gonna bin this. Oh wait, no we're not. We're gonna derive reflect. I think it's this. Maybe not. Trait hash is not implemented for game action. Again, I'm pretty sure I can just derive this. It's just finding the right combination of things. Found expected game action, got game action. Get this, get this, get. And maybe I should just borrow. Well, I don't want to have to borrow a game action, right? Because it's just a plain enum. So actually, I probably want copy as well. Sorry, clone, copy. Yep. Oh my gosh. Key input dot pressed. What's it saying? T found a T. Why does it get a reference to a T for C encodes? Okay, no, that is correct. So this gets a dereferenced C. Okay, we're getting closer. We're getting closer. Held warnings. This is what I want. I think we're compiled. We're done. Okay. So now let's try and use this in our player. Actually, no, let's run this. Let's run this and see what it looks like. Because let's run it in features dev. Let's see what this looks like with the eGUI inspector, right? Let's see if we can look at what's going on here. Get a few extra menu options when you're in dev mode. Okay, so. Oops. Okay, do we have resources? Input binding game button. Here we go. Can I make a new element? No, probably because game key code or game one of these things is not new element friendly. But that's okay. So we're gonna add some key bindings. And eventually it'd be nice to rig this up into a menu. I don't think I'm gonna have time to do that today. I have to keep an eye on my phone. But that would be really fun. That would be really, really fun. Okay. So let's go into our well, we need to set up we need to set up some actual key bindings as well. Maybe in the default. Maybe we should actually do this in default. So let's maybe say let equal hash map new. There's a better way, right? Initializing a hash map from from an iterator from. Okay, that's what I want. From KV. Okay, so we want a game action. And let's pull up our player mod as well so we can kind of map these together. So arrow left. So game action left, key code, arrow left. I do have an up. I don't have a down yet, but that's okay. Arrow right, up, down, up, key Z, key X, key and left, shift left, key, fire, jump, key Z, key X, fire, and then dash is going to be shift left. Oh, except these are vecs as well, aren't they? Vec. Cool. Game action left. T. A game action. Down to a key. Yeah, I guess this is the better way to do it. Confirm. And now we can have this overlap where Z and X are jump and fire and confirm and return, so they'll be useful for menu navigation as well. Okay, what if I make B this? It's angry. Oh, oops, hold on. That was really silly. That was really, really stupid, because this is a T, this is a generic. Okay, we actually need to be a bit smarter here. So let's bind a key input, a button, which is going to be a T, which has copy. Okay, so T implements copy, so we can pass a T in directly, that's fine. And a game action, we want that to be bound to. Okay, so we say dot input map get a if let some. So if there is already a list of actions, a list of keys associated with this action, a vec.push. I can never remember these really simple functions. It's so annoying. Let's go. Let's do d vec. Sorry, I'm just gonna make sure my phone actually is set to ring loudly, because I don't want to miss this. Cool. Vec. Push. It is push. Okay, good. Vec push button. And return, that's fine. Well, actually, no, we don't need to return. There's no loop. There's nothing else here. So if there is already, there are already buttons associated with this action, add another button. Otherwise, self.input map insert. I think it's insert. God, I am so bad with these names. So bad with these names. Insert. Straight out insert. KV. Self insert. I don't think I need that. A, and then we're just going to have a new vector which just has this one button. Beautiful, and that's all we need. Clear. And then we'll have the kind of inverse of this, which is where you clear. Well, actually, no, let's not write this yet, because we'll just get unused warnings. Okay, bind. We can now bind a key in. And then maybe... No, that's okay. We'll, we'll save this. Maybe let's just make a pub function called bind default keys, which takes a mutable reference to an input binding key. Yeah, key. And then we can say for a k in. Here we go. Okay, this is better. So for each of these actions to keys, we want to say, and these are one-to-one. Let's go QQ TV. Okay. And then we have to clean up a few of these square brackets. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so for each of these keys, we want to say keeb bind ka. That's it. That's all we do. Button action. Button action. some mutable reference to a vec, yeah. Get mut. Is this the pattern we need? And now it's a mutable vec. Okay, there we go, there we go. Now we're just back to warnings. Cool. And now when we start up, let's even maybe just put this in. Oh dear. How do we do this? How do we do this? I guess when we insert it in the plugin, right, we'll say bind default keys. So let's input binding needs to be mutable key code default, and then we'll say bind default keys and now what gets inserted is this one that's been modified input. Okay, now let's see if this actually works. Variable does not need to be mutable. Okay, there's some stuff we need to look at still. There are some interesting warnings there. Key code, yes. Nice. So we get this. We get this, and we can actually modify this, which is fun. I don't know why I can't modify these. It would be nice to be able to modify these, and I wonder if it's because I haven't derived reflect. Right? Is there like a reflect in? Oh no, hold on, wait. It's inspector options, right? That's what I'm missing. Now I can hopefully modify those. I hope. I can just like mess around with this in real time. Resources, key code. No, still can't modify it. Weird. Gamepad button. Okay. Let's go into our player and let's change this. So instead of relying on this directly, we're going to rely on this resource key. What's it going to be? It's going to be input binding key code. Input binding key code. And now instead of checking the actual key codes, we're going to do game action. Okay, hold on. I've been thinking. I've got a thought in my brain, right? Which is that this is actually kind of stupid because it still puts, we still have to care that there's like different things that might map to the same action. We have to manually take that on, right? So the thing that I've just had this shocking revelation, right? Key map. Well, I guess we could keep this, right? But this is no longer a resource, it's just a type. And then we have this pub struct input bindings resource. Right, this does lower duplication, I guess. And gamepad. I think this works. I think this makes sense. Input binding gamepad button. I think this is better. I think this is better because then this is our resource. Debug, reflect, inspector options. Okay. I suspect some of the requirements from this T will no longer apply, but I still want it to be copy. I still want T to be copy. And I might as well, I guess, still care about this. Default self. Now there's no more T. No, sorry. Input bindings does have this. Input map hash map new. And now this should be able to derive default because there's no more weird generic parameter to get in the way. Okay, I think this is nicer. And then this input binding keeps the same API, but then input binding's resource is going to also have a similar API that's going to check the same thing. So we're going to say impl input binding resource. And we're going to do this. Game input. Maybe I need to be more stateful here. Okay, hold on. I'm tying myself in a knot. There's some stuff I should think about here. Right? So I'm probably going to draw this picture and then go, but this will hopefully put it in my brain better. So we have this resource that I want to encapsulate input bindings, right? So that we can say left, right, fire, jump. Like we have these higher level names for the actions in the actual game. And this will be from like, this is like our player systems. I forgot if I was writing uppercase or lowercase there. Okay, so we have resources, we have systems. We have like a generic player system that does some stuff that needs to have this bound to it. But the system I'm building, it would also need all of the, I guess that's okay for now. We would just need these resources. We would need like, but, oh gosh, I'm having to make my writing very small. Button input T1 and button input T2, like all the different types of input I might have would also need to be bound into the player, because there's also this dependency, like the methods of this resource also require these to be passed in, but they have to be passed in via the player system, right? It's like a long way around to get there. So maybe the answer is to actually have a new system that runs before everything else, every update. It's like the first thing that runs. It's like a input state system, which takes these things in and this and like modifies this, like it mutates this. I'm getting a delivery. I'll be back in 1 second. Oh, very exciting delivery. Live unboxing. But yeah, this idea that maybe I just put all of that complexity of this wiring into one system, then the player system only has to worry about one thing, right? We delete, which will be very hard because I haven't given myself, I've like drawn over these arrows, but we would delete some of these arrows and make, I guess I say simpler, right? But this still looks like it's complicated. But from the player system's perspective, it's much simpler now. So we write this one system that does have some gross stuff in it in a way, I guess. But it just makes our life better overall. I think that's fine. I think that makes sense. Where did my size go? Why did this get so much bigger just because I swapped to an eraser? I don't understand how the GIMP works sometimes. Okay. I'm going to do a live unboxing of my very exciting package. Hell yeah. They're brick clips. They're going to let me hang stuff up in my rental outside and like have a garden. Okay. That has been a fun stream. Unfortunately, I only have time for an hour today, but we did some stuff. We delved into, oh gosh, I can't even run the game to, hold on, let me just get stashed for a second. and I'll, yeah, just to see us out, right? Like, I didn't do much, but I'm making progress. This game's coming together. I want it to be like a complete thing that I can put out there and feel proud of. And I'm getting there. I need to draw a lot more art, and that's going to be hard. But it feels like a game. It feels more and more like a game. And the particle effects have really made a difference. So thank you everyone for tuning in. I would love to know what people think of this. If there are any thoughts and feelings about how I can make this look more like a game and feel more like a game. I am going to publish something playable soon once I have something a bit more representative of the kind of core game loop. Which is close. The next big thing I want to do, and that I'll probably tackle on stream, is to make the enemy spawning waves in the arena stuff better. Anyway, this has been fun. Good to be streaming more, and it's been good to get some good feedback. Also, one more quick thing, I had a donation. So we are closer to my goal. I'm a little bit off center here. We are closer to my goal of getting a better HDMI capture device, which is going to make all of the PlayStation 2 stuff even better. So if you do want to donate, head over to my coffee page. The donor has opted to remain anonymous, so they're not going to be featured. Let me they're, who is this person? Who is this person? I don't know. Right? Anonymous. But I do hugely appreciate the donation, and yeah, it's going to go to a good cause, right? Better PlayStation 2 capture. There has never been a more noble cause. I do feel bad asking for money though. But anyway, no pressure. If anyone wants to help contribute and make this stream more awesome, I would love it. So thank you so much everyone for tuning in. I'm Tom, and I will catch you all next time, which will hopefully be very, very soon. Bye.